Crypto is a trust layer for the internet.
We call the tech that it's built on blockchain. You can think of it kind of like a massive Excel sheet that everyone can see but nobody can change. Blockchains have been around for a while, but the key innovation introduced to them in 2008 was the distributed consensus algorithm. Consensus allowed blockchains for the first time to operate independently from any central authority, i.e., in a trustless environment. It's a way for a distributed and anonymous set of participants to agree on things together without having to know or implicitly trust each other. This means we can transact on these blockchains and trust them without needing permission from anyone or anything. Now, there's a lot to unpack there. In order to really understand these concepts, let's back up and start at the beginning of the crypto revolution with Bitcoin. Bitcoin was the first crypto asset. It was presented in the form of a research paper in 2008 by an anonymous person or persons going by the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto. Bitcoin outlined the idea for a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, where any two people, regardless of who they were, where they were, or whether they trusted each other, could transact over the internet. Now, this idea wasn't new in and of itself. There had been many attempts at creating this type of digitally native currency that could move on its own just using the internet rather than any bank or government. But you can't have a system for money blowing up or going down or being shut down willy-nilly. Nobody would want to use it. You also can't have a single authority in power who could decide to change the system unilaterally, for instance, to make more coins whenever they wanted. In other words, you needed to ensure the system would stay up and running and that it had real scarcity. Since without scarcity, there couldn't be value. See, when you send data on the current Internet of Information, for instance, an email with an attachment, the person you sent it to gets the attachment, but you also still have it. This obviously can't be used to convey value. So Bitcoin introduced the answer to these problems in the form of the first consensus algorithm, which for Bitcoin is called proof of work. This innovation proved how a distributed network of computers can coordinate and work together without knowing each other or having to trust each other. Once this system of computers is coordinated, they can agree on a history of data or transactions. If they can agree on these transactions at all times, that means the network always knows who has what money, who sends money to whom, and how much money there is. This is what makes digital scarcity possible. When you send Bitcoin to someone, the network makes sure, and we can all verify, that the Bitcoin has been subtracted from my balance and added to the balance of whoever I sent it to. We can also, all of us, verify the total amount of Bitcoin and how much new Bitcoin is created. In other words, we can all verify the scarcity at will. So you can think of Bitcoin as simultaneously a crypto asset, that's lowercase b Bitcoin, and a payment network, often capital B Bitcoin. It's like dollars and Visa put together in one digital network. Sending crypto like Bitcoin is also called making or submitting a transaction. When you submit a transaction to the Bitcoin network, that transaction gets broadcast via the internet to the network of computers, which then uses this consensus process to stay in sync as they check your transaction and together confirm it to the ledger. That's really all crypto is. It's pieces of scarce digital data tracked via a ledger of transactions on a network that uses consensus to provide trust, transparency, and decentralization. These are the principal driving forces behind crypto. There are many different cryptos, as you probably know, of course, but they all use this same innovation, the consensus algorithm, to create these systems that enforce digital scarcity and that we can all use. The reality is, we use those same types of systems today to send our money around digitally. That's what the banking system is. Except in this case, we're using a network of computers running consensus rather than the same convoluted banking system that's from the 17th century. Decentralization means we no longer have to trust these bloated third parties before we can do anything. In the current system, that's trust we all have to pay for, but no longer.